What if planting a crop once could feed you not just for a season, but for years? Most annuals are one-season wonders. You sow, you harvest, and then you start all over again. But not these. These 10 plants break the rules. They reseed themselves, adapt to your space, and keep coming back. No replanting, no extra work. They're the quiet rule breakers of the plant world. And once you meet them, you may never look at annuals the same way again. They might look like tiny lanterns scattered across your garden, but ground cherries are much more than a visual novelty. They're one of the easiest, most reliable crops to grow and regrow. Hidden inside each papery husk is a golden fruit with a sweet, tart flavor somewhere between pineapple, vanilla, and tomato. But here's the part most gardeners miss. Once they fall to the ground, they don't just spoil, they sow the future. Leftover fruits break down naturally, releasing seeds that lie dormant until spring, where they sprout into a new crop with zero intervention. These self-sown plants tend to emerge earlier and more vigorously than nursery starts, often adapting better to your specific microclimate. Even in smaller beds or containers, they'll reappear reliably, provided you don't over-harvest. Of course, with their eager reseeding habit, a little management goes a long way. Allow 1 or 2 to drop at the end of the season, and you'll be rewarded for years. It's a crop that doesn't just feed you, it learns your garden's rhythm and grows with it. Tomatoes are the crown jewel of many gardens. But what if you didn't need to start fresh every season? While we typically treat tomatoes as annuals, in their native South American range, they're perennials. And in most home gardens, they're surprisingly good at acting like it. It starts when a fruit splits or drops late in the season. The seeds nestle into the soil, overwinter quietly, and then, when the conditions are right, they reemerge as volunteer seedlings. Especially with cherry or grape tomatoes, you'll often see little sprouts popping up weeks before your planned transplant date. These volunteers are more than just convenient. Many growers find them to be hardier, more drought-tolerant, and better adapted to local pests and soil conditions. If you stick to open-pollinated varieties, the fruit will even come back true to type. Instead of pulling them, consider letting a few grow. You can always thin or relocate the strongest ones. Over time, your tomato patch becomes its own self-sustaining system, less planting, fewer costs, and often better harvests. At first glance, Cucamelons look like something from a dollhouse garden. Tiny, striped fruits no bigger than grapes, with the pattern of a watermelon and the crunch of a cucumber. But beneath their charming appearance is one of the most independent and self-reliant crops you can grow. Also known as Mexican sour gherkins, Cucamelons have a slightly tangy, citrus-tinged flavor and thrive in heat, making them ideal for warm climates and vertical spaces. Give them a trellis or a fence and they'll take off, climbing aggressively and producing more fruit than most gardeners can keep up with. And that's where their self-seeding magic begins. Every season, a few fruits inevitably fall and split open, releasing seeds that quietly settle into the soil. Without fail, those seeds sprout the following spring, often in better spots than where you planted them. In my own garden, I haven't replanted Cucamelons in years. They just return, season after season, like clockwork. The key is moderation. 1 or 2 plants are plenty. Left unchecked, Cucamelons can colonize a space quickly, but with a little guidance, they're one of the easiest annuals to naturalize and one of the most fun to harvest. It's easy to overlook purslane. In fact, many gardeners pull it out without realizing they're tossing one of the most nutritious and drought-tolerant plants on earth. But this humble succulent isn't just edible, it's a quiet superfood that thrives where other crops fail, and best of all, it does it all on its own. Purslane grows low to the ground with fleshy, paddle-shaped leaves that have a mild lemony tang and a satisfying crunch. It shows up uninvited in garden beds, sidewalk cracks, and even containers, and once you recognize it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. That's because purslane is a prolific self-seeder. One plant can drop over 50,000 seeds, and those seeds can lie dormant in soil for decades, waiting for the right conditions. Seasoned gardeners who recognize its value often allow it to grow where it naturally appears, harvesting it like a bonus crop. With just a little trimming, it produces a steady supply of nutrient-dense greens for salads, stir-fries, or pickling. To keep it coming back year after year, simply let a few plants flower and drop seed. You'll never have to plant it again, and you may even start thinking twice before calling it a weed. Cilantro has a reputation for being finicky, bolting at the first sight of heat and disappearing just when you need it most. But what many gardeners see as a flaw is actually its greatest strength. That tendency to bolt quickly, it's nature's invitation to grow it forever without replanting. Once cilantro sends up its delicate white flowers, it quickly forms clusters of round seeds, what we know as coriander. If left undisturbed, these seeds dry up, drop, and nestle into the soil, setting the stage for a new crop that returns with the seasons. Self-seeding cilantro tends to grow exactly when conditions are right, early spring or again in early fall when temperatures are cooler. Some gardeners even get 2 full harvests a year without ever sowing another seed. It's a system that aligns naturally with seasonal cooking. Fresh cilantro for spring salsas, then again for fall curries and stews. The trick is to let a few plants complete their life cycle each season. Tucked into a corner of the garden, cilantro quietly renews itself year after year. It's not just low effort, it's surprisingly reliable once you understand its rhythm. If you're looking for a plant that's beautiful, nutritious, and wildly self-sufficient, amaranth might just be the ultimate garden multitasker. With its towering stalks and cascading flower plumes in shades of red, gold, and green, it looks almost ornamental. But make no mistake, this plant pulls double duty. Amaranth offers 2 harvests in one: tender spinach-like leaves you can pick throughout the season, and grain-rich seed heads that produce thousands of tiny protein-packed seeds. Just one mature plant can yield enough grain for baking, cereals, or even popping like miniature popcorn. And here's where it gets interesting. Amaranth reseeds itself with enthusiasm. Let a few flower heads dry on the stalk, and you'll have volunteers sprouting up each spring, often in better spots than where you planted them. These seedlings tend to be hardy, well adapted to your soil, and surprisingly low maintenance. Some gardeners thin them down to just 1 or 2 per season. That's all it takes for a steady supply of greens and grain. Once established, amaranth becomes part of your garden's rhythm, reappearing each year like a dependable, edible landmark. While amaranth dominates the garden with bold colors and protein-rich seeds, our next plant climbs to prominence in a completely different way, literally. Red Malabar spinach turns the vertical space in your garden into a lush wall of edible greens. With its deep red vines and glossy heart-shaped leaves, it's as striking as it is useful. Unlike traditional spinach, which wilts in summer heat, Malabar thrives in hot, humid conditions, growing faster the warmer it gets. It's perfect for trellises, fences, or balcony railings, making it a favorite in small space gardens. The leaves are slightly succulent and hold their shape well when cooked, ideal for stir-fries, curries, or even added raw to salads for a bit of crunch. Though technically a tropical perennial, Malabar spinach often reseeds itself in temperate gardens. Let a few flowers mature into dark purple berries, and you'll likely spot new vines popping up the following year. Many gardeners treat it like a self-renewing summer crop. Plant it once, and it just keeps climbing back. If you're gardening in a hot climate or want to turn a sunny wall into a living pantry, Malabar spinach is a reliable and rewarding choice. From a heat-loving climber, we shift to a cool weather favorite that's often underestimated once the summer sun takes over. Lettuce may seem delicate, but when left to follow its natural cycle, it becomes one of the most dependable, self-seeding crops in any garden. Most gardeners pull their lettuce as soon as it bolts, frustrated by the bitter leaves and towering seed stalks. But if you let those stalks finish the job, flower, fluff, and scatter, you'll unlock lettuce's hidden potential. The seeds that drift gently to the soil and then lie dormant until temperatures drop back into their sweet spot. Fall rains or early spring cool spells trigger germination, bringing up a new generation of lettuce with no effort required. Often pollinated varieties like romaine or black-seeded Simpson come back true to type, offering continuity year after year. In many gardens, self-seeded lettuce appears exactly when you want it most. Cool season greens without a trip to the store or seed catalog. By letting a few plants bolt and go to seed each season, you create a continuous loop of leafy harvests that adapts to the climate better than any human schedule could. If lettuce rewards patience and timing, brassicas reward those who understand their wild side. While many associate this family with tightly packed cabbages or broccoli heads, it's the leafy members, like mustard greens, arugula, and kale, that shine in self-sufficient gardens. These plants aren't just cold-hardy and nutrient-rich, they're prolific seeders. Once they send up their tall flowering stalks, they produce a flood of seeds that can remain viable in the soil for years, and when allowed to follow their natural cycle, they often germinate at just the right moment: cool weather, shorter days, early spring or fall. But here's the catch. Brassicas love to cross-pollinate. If you're growing multiple varieties from the same species, like different mustards, their offspring may surprise you. Savvy gardeners will isolate one variety to flower at a time, allowing pure strains to persist across seasons. Kale, though technically a biennial, often survives mild winters and flowers the second year, fitting neatly into this loop. And arugula? It practically grows like a weed, returning in every nook where a seed once landed. By letting just a few plants flower and scatter seed each season, you create a rotating cast of nutrient-rich greens that replant themselves. No seed packets required. To wrap up our list, we end with a plant that's as beautiful as it is practical. Calendula, also known as pot marigold, is a vibrant, low-maintenance flower that gives far more than it takes. Its golden orange blooms not only brighten garden beds but serve multiple roles: repelling pests, attracting pollinators, soothing skin, and even adding color and flavor to your meals. But what truly earns Calendula a place on this list is its ability to come back year after year with no replanting required. Once a few flowers go to seed, Calendula takes over from there. Each bloom produces dozens of curled seeds that scatter easily and sprout wherever they find space. Some germinate in fall for early spring growth, while others wait patiently for the perfect moment. It's a cycle that requires little more than observation and trust. Calendula thrives in both full sun and partial shade, and once it settles into your garden's rhythm, you'll likely see it return every season, often in new and unexpected places. It's a plant that feeds the soil, supports your vegetables, and looks great doing it. The perfect finale to a list of annuals that break the rules. Calendula proves that sometimes planting once really is enough. These 10 plants prove that with a bit of strategy, you can plant once and enjoy fresh food for seasons, sometimes even years to come. They reseed, adapt, and quietly turn your garden into a self-renewing system that works with nature instead of against it. If you found something new in this list, give it a like, share it with a fellow gardener, and subscribe for more discoveries that reveal just how clever and surprising nature can be. This is Stellar Eureka, signing off.